Her life. What is up? I've been testing today all these emulator Yusu, Ryujinx. I've been playing a little bit of Tears of the Kingdom, and now Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And I just wanted to know if with this Auto HDR, I should be using the HDR calibration app profile or the ICC profile that I share. And I think it is difficult because these games don't have near black at all, at least so far. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom maybe, but Mario is all the time very bright everywhere, so it's difficult um, to know for sure. But I think it is the Gamma 2.2 profile that I share. So instead of using the HDR calibration app profile, better use the profile I share. Link in the description of the video. I copy everything on the description so you can check it out. Hey, what is up, Finis? I'm doing great. Yeah, so everything is in the description. I mean, I think this is great because this emulation makes the games so much better than on the Nintendo Switch. This is running at 60 FPS. There's like a mod, there's always a mod to make these games run faster. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit for those mods to work or for you to be able to get the performance. But on the PC, these games are so much better, of course. 4K, higher frame rate, and now HDR. It looks fantastic. So what I would recommend is for Yusu, Ryujinx, all these emulators, just download the app to force Auto HDR from Windows 11, which is very easy to use. And then use the Gamma 2.2 ICC profile that I share. That's gonna be the best. And these games are so bright. For example, right now, this Super Mario, they are so bright everywhere that HGIG is definitely the way to go, because if you use dynamic tone mapping, and I know that Phoenix, you like dynamic tone mapping. For example, here, it doesn't make it any brighter. Like if I change right now from HGIG to dynamic tone mapping, it is not brighter at all. Like the brightness doesn't change whatsoever, and you just make the picture quality worse because now you get some washed out. The highlights, they become a little bit washed out. Phoenix says, Ariel, do you know that iPhones are 95% calibrated well? Yeah, I saw an HDTV test video talking about that, the accuracy. But yeah, Apple is not for me. What's up, Mustafa? Hello, Ariel. Gaming PC or car? Huh. That's a good question. Well, you can definitely decide that here in the US, you can get a car for like $2,000, $3,000. So yeah, you can spend $3,000 on a PC. A car would be better, that's for sure. Hola, hermano. My brother from Spain, Mystic. How's it going? Christian Olvera says, really appreciate your videos. Anime and games look awesome in HDR. Absolutely. I mean, this Mario, I mean, it's just eye-searing. This thing is just bright. Again, it is so bright that if you change from HDIG to dynamic tone mapping, you don't get more brightness. I mean, it just looks, dynamic tone mapping looks significantly worse, and nobody would like more dynamic tone mapping. It's just not even close. HDIG looks so much better. The highlights are popping more. They are more defined. You get more details. And it's awesome. So I can use HDIG and black frame insertion, and it looks fantastic. So yeah, it is great. Frank Sinatra says, hey man, love your videos. Good work. Congrats. Well, thank you very much. Everything PS5 Pro says, hey buddy, I'm doing great. I'm gonna have a long gaming day today. Penumbrum says, got PC easily and Forza. Win-win. Yeah, you can always play a racing game. I mean, since I drive, racing games are not the same anymore. I think I need to get a wheel. It's like $200. But yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be make a difference. So yeah, the other thing is for this Mario, for example, because it is so bright everywhere. If you're sensitive to flickering, you're not gonna like at 60 FPS. You're not gonna like this BFI OLED Motion Pro High. When I turn it on, I was like, this is not a good idea. But you adapt to it if you can. Some people might adapt to it, and I do adapt to it, and I can deal with it. Like I can play like this, and it looks so much better in motion. When you are jumping, you can still see Mario. It looks okay. It's not like perfect, but it looks so much better than just 60. And my GPU is like at 71% to get 4K 60 on this game. So I cannot get 120 anyway. So yeah, BFI is the way to go for me. Oh, we got a lot of comments. Let me see. Frank Sinatra says, can I get some game recommendations, please? I hate looting, crafting, stealth, skill trees, puzzles, complicated stats and item reading, etc. But they are okay in very small amounts. Well, the games that I like are Souls-like games, and I recommended this game called Asterigos, which I am playing. It's a budget, indie game. A lot of issues that you can see, but I like it. So imagine Immortal Phoenix Rising, but a lot smaller scope. So it is not open world. It has some Souls-like elements, and yeah, you get some abilities, but it's not like a lot of them. It's not like a skill tree that's huge. So yeah, I think I can recommend you that one. Asterigos, Course of the Stars. I can recommend you that to give it a try. Let me see what else I would recommend. I mean, there's a lot of games this year. Like I haven't been able to keep up really. I mean, Hogwarts Legacy is a good game. In my opinion, I like it. I'm playing it. Immortal Phoenix Rising is a good game in my opinion too. I like it. Of course, it has the Ubisoft, repetitiveness and yeah, but it's a good game. I'm actually surprised they decided to basically kill the franchise. Like they're not gonna do part two for some reason. Of course, the Spider-Man games. I mean, I guess you played that already. You see one game that most people don't know that I can recommend. I don't know. Just the games that everyone knows. But yeah, Souls-like are my games, so I can recommend you to try Thymesia. If you feel brave, that game is very hard. Thymesia the gameplay is fantastic, one of the best in my opinion. You said you like Wolfenstein, so you like first person. Oh, Remnant 2. Actually, I installed Remnant 2 yesterday again because I couldn't play it with the performance, and it has improved. Remnant 2 performance has improved, and I see that now they added a potato mode to the graphic settings. There is a potato setting, and it does look pretty bad, but the performance is still very bad. So even if you use potato settings all the way, the performance still bad. So I'm like, this is like incredible. Like the game now looks worse than anything else I have on my PC, and it's still running worse. How? there's something fundamentally wrong. I mean, there's something wrong. If the game just looks very, very bad, it has to perform very well. I should be expecting 120, no problem, even DLSS balance. And I am DLSS performance dropping to 70 frames, looking like potato. I don't understand. So yeah, Just Cause 4, I didn't like it at all. I have it on Epic Games, they give it away. High on Life. No, absolutely, you have to play High on Life. That's one of my favorite games ever. I mean, half this a must play. I missed that one. Yeah, absolutely. Phoenix says, I tried calibrating with my iPhone 14 Pro with my eyes, and I use my eyes to get the closest, and it looks fantastic. I changed the green to -11 high and blue to low +4. So when you do a 2-point calibration, you cannot increase the low point to 4 because you're gonna get raised blacks. I didn't know that, and when I did the first calibration, I did increase that low point and +4, and I realized that I was getting image retention. I was like, man, this is so weird. Is the TV starting to degrade or something? And then the image retention was not going away fast. But with black frame insertion, it was going away fast. But the thing is, you get raised blacks. And yeah, you cannot increase the low point to +4 because you get raised blacks. So instead of increasing it with the low point of the 2-point calibration, you have to use the 22-point calibration to accomplish the same thing. So, be in a completely dark room and just open a black screen, and you will see you're getting raised blacks if you do that. So yeah, racing games. You see, like I haven't been a big fan of racing games. For me, the best racing, the best driving is a GTA 5. I like that how it feels more than racing games. I don't know why. So that's why I'm excited waiting for GTA 6. Phenomenon saying last racing game I enjoyed was the original Most Wanted. The music, story, and progression in modern games doesn't work for me. Yeah, I beat Most Wanted, of course. That's why I still have the BMW. Is like the #1 brand to me, just because of that blue BMW. I think that was a very good design. Is 4070 Ti good enough for 4K? Yeah, 4K 60. Yeah, you can get 4K 60 in almost every game. Of course, you have to tweak the settings with this latest Unreal Engine. But if you want to go beyond 60 consistently, yeah, get something more expensive. Get a 49. You spend as much as you can afford is my recommendation. Don't cut corners. Yeah, it's very expensive, man. Everything PS5 Pro. How's it going? By the way, we're starting to get some leaks about the PS5 Pro. They're saying it's gonna be a beast. Who knows? When maxing out the Windows HDR brightness slider, my 500 nits TV looked slightly brighter than its normal max. Is it just my perception of the display that tricks my eyes, or is it true? They're saying when maxing out the Windows HDR brightness slider, it looks slightly brighter. Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter that your display is 500 nits. What you need to learn is what is the tone mapping that your display is doing, or if it is not doing tone mapping at all. If it's not doing tone mapping, that's HGIG, no tone mapping. So if the display is not doing tone mapping, it's following the UTF and it's hard clipping at 500 nits, then you want to set the games to do max CLL 500. but maybe the display is doing tone mapping at 1000 nits. So if you go below that, then you're not getting all the brightness because the display is tone mapping. So the actual peak brightness of the display is not what matters. You need to know what is the tone mapping that the display is doing. That's the thing. So even, for example, even with HDIG, some people ask me sometimes, hey, but I measure my LG C2 and it is not 800 nits, it is 790. It doesn't matter. That is 790. HGIG is set to hard clip at 800 nits, and it doesn't matter your specific panel, the brightness of your specific panel. So now, if you can calibrate your TV, then you can make tone mapping off. You can basically create a tone curve that is like HGIG, but better, more precise, based on the actual peak brightness of your display. And then in that situation, then you do change the max CLL of the games to be exactly that, what you're looking for, or the auto HDR or whatever. But if that's not the case, it is 800 nits. It doesn't matter if you have a CX, C1, C2, C3, and they are slightly different, or even from panel to panel variant. If HDIG is set to hard clip at 800, that's what you want to do. So you have to figure out what is your TV doing, if it's doing tone mapping, and what is the target. So to figure that out, just open a clipping pattern. Just go to YouTube, for example. Let me see what is the name of a video I can tell you now that has a clipping pattern you can use. Any HDR clipping pattern, HDR white clipping pattern. Let me see if I can find a quick video. I can tell you. You have to know that for sure. And most likely, the TV is not receiving metadata from Windows and adjusting the tone mapping curve accordingly. Most likely, that's not happening. So, for example, there is a video here that's called White Clipping 4K UHD HDR10 Calibration Pattern. You can open this video. Let me see what it is. Yeah, this is a very good example. It has 764 nits, 772, 784. So it has from 764 to 940. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is gonna work the best. Yeah, this is not very good, but search for some videos like that. White clipping pattern. Test with multiple of them. Actually, I shared a folder that you can download videos that are test patterns. I forgot in which video I shared that. At the end of the stream, I might find that and put the link in the description of this live stream. So check back later, and I will share those videos. So yeah, just do that. You need to figure out what is your display doing. Frank says the game made by the small university team, pretty nice game for what it is. I don't know which one that is. That my guess is that it brightens the pixel to the point that everything that is semi-close to white pixels start to turn white to make the display appear brighter. Yeah, you don't want clipping. Remnant 2 was pretty good if you like Souls-like. Yeah, I'm sure the game is good. I like Remnant 1. The thing is that the performance was too bad, and it was looking terrible. It's just, I mean, I have the game right now. Let me close this Mario. So I was just playing this Mario at 60 with AutoMotion Pro high. It looks good. The flickering, if you can deal with it because it's very bright, is okay. It looks good in motion. It feels good with HDR. It looks fantastic. Let me open Remnant again because this was This was really bad. Let me. I think they improve it for sure. They improve Remnant 2, but it is not good enough still. Let's see how it is. So yeah, it's a good game. I like Remnant 1, but the performance is too bad. From my testing, my PS5 looks exactly the same as the HDR calibration app setting slider. However, it is only using HDR on games on PS5 and not in the OS of the PS5. I have no idea. I will test the PS5 next week. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make some videos because I gifted a PS5 with a Spider-Man 2, so I might give you some impressions if I have a chance. I will see a Spider-Man 2 running on the PS5, and I might, I might check the HDR and all of that, depending on the TV. I'm not sure which TV we're gonna be using with that PS5. Maybe it doesn't even support HDR. I hope it does. And I might learn something about it. But I mean, if you have a PS5, I'm sure you know more than me because I've never tested it. I realize that most games look broken on the PS5 and HDR because it has a wrong gamma mode. Rec 2020 looks broken on my TV. Is it possible that it is a PC monitor gamma? And that's why it is not great. A PC monitor gamma. So, well, how does it look? You say that it has wrong gamma. Does it look washed out, too bright near black? Why do you say that it looks? And why do you say that Rec 2020 looks broken on your TV? Rec 2020 should be the default um, space for HDR. Like when you use on HDR on this LG OLEDs, it defaults to BT 2020 because all HDR content is inside BT 2020. So I don't know. Maybe it's a situation like the Samsung S95C that has the DCI-P3 option, and the BT 2020 was not calibrated, and that's why it looks wrong. Maybe, I don't know. You need to learn your TV and see how. Basically, you need to know how to make your TV look the best it can look with the settings on the TV itself and with the content. Like what is the max CLL of the content? You want to know that. By the way, with this update from Remnant, it just crashed when you open the game. This didn't happen at the beginning. When I first tested the game, this was not an issue. With this latest update, it doesn't let you open the game if you have Riva Turner. Actually, you get a message saying that it's gonna crash, and I wonder why. And then after you open the game, then you can just open MSI and it works no problem. So I don't understand why that issue. Maybe they didn't want you to see how bad the performance was. Yeah, that's a question for it. So blacks end up looking blue. If the blacks look blue, it's an issue with the calibration of the TV. Maybe you can fix it if you have calibration controls. If you have a 20 or a 10-point calibration, maybe you can fix it. BeamUp says, what up, Plasma? I have a 65-inch C1 with Evo panel. Less than 100 hours. Going to hold onto for you when you're ready. You're gonna hold it for me? You're gonna give it to me? That's awesome. I'm not sure if they still sell the LG C1s. Let me see if you go right now to Best Buy. They're not gonna have it on Best Buy, but let me see if you can find it. LG C1 on brand new. I'm not sure if you can get it brand new. Well, yeah. On eBay, that's not That's not brand new. eBay, Best Buy, C1 77-inch on eBay, $3,300. That's lunacy. C1, I don't see it. C1, Amazon. Okay, let me see. LG C1 on Amazon, 83 inches, $3,100. Yeah, they're still available. C1 on Amazon, 65-inch right now is $1,700. That's very expensive. But it's like about the same as it used to cost. But it's still available. It's still available. Well, the retail price was $2,500, but yeah, it's still available. I max out the HDR calibration on my PS5. It does tone mapping up to 10,000 nits. So you mean the TV is doing tone mapping up to 10,000 nits, so you do not see the logo disappearing? If that's the case, then either the TV is defaulting to a 10,000 nits tone mapping curve, which I find that very weird. Is that an LG TV? Is that an LG LCD TV? Um, LG is the only TV I think that has that 10,000 nits tone mapping. So I would be surprised if that's a different TV. Let me know. But yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to figure out what is your TV doing. Shadows consume lots of FPS in Remnant 2. There is a modding tool for graphics on Nexus Mod. Well, right now with this latest update, let me see if I can. Let me open MSI so I can see the. I think I have the FPS locked because I was playing Mario. Let me see. Let me take a look at it. By the way, I use on Remnant the Major Paint the Cactus, and it works amazing. Just looks absolutely amazing. Yeah, with this new update, you have the option to turn off all the shadows, and it still performs like crap. Yeah, so I have the game locked to 60. Let me unlock this thing. Yeah, so it is still performing very, very bad. It's just not good enough. I am using DLSS performance and high settings and try to lock to 60, and hopefully it doesn't drop. If it drops below 60, then I don't play the game. So it's that simple. So if I go down to potato settings, okay, the game looks so bad, man. It's like broken bad. I'm talking about it's completely flat, and on HDR it's just a mess because it's bright everywhere. It's like one of the ugliest thing I've ever seen, and still the performance is not good enough. I'm gonna tell you right now what I'm getting here. For some reason this is locked to 60. Let me see. Oh, because I have VSync and 60 hertz on the Nvidia control panel. Let me change that. So yeah, that's what I don't understand. Like if you have potato settings on your game, it has to run well. If it doesn't run well, looking bad, looking very, very bad, like what are we talking about here? Like that's what I'm complaining about, basically. Your game doesn't look good enough to perform like that. It doesn't make any sense. Potato settings, your game has to fly, and if it doesn't fly, there's something wrong with it. It's that simple. Let's see now. Okay, so I'm getting, look at this. I'm getting over 100 frames, but it's dropping to 109 frames with DLSS performance. So we're talking about upscaling from 1080p on a 3080 12 gigabytes. I'm talking about Remnant 2. So how is that possible? Like I'm barely getting 100 frames. The game on potato mode, no shadows, no nothing. It's just a flat, completely flat game, and I cannot get a solid 120. Look at this, 104 frames. This is trash, man. This is trash. This is just unacceptable. Like, I have so many games that if I remove the shadows like this, they would just run at 300 frames per second. I mean, there's no reason for this to be running so bad. But even with potato settings, you see that trees at the distance are moving and animating, and that doesn't make any sense. Why are the trees moving at 20 miles away if I am using potato settings? That's the kind of stuff I was complaining about, that this doesn't make any sense. So yeah. But the game is performing a little bit better, so I might try to play it. FC says GTA 6 is going to be woke AF. What does that mean? Woke. I'm still learning English. What does that mean? Woke. Woke meaning. Let me see. Woke. Alert to and concern about social injustice and discrimination. I have no idea what that means, man. Like, what do you mean by that? That it's gonna be like uh, alert racial prejudice and discrimination. I have no idea what that is. I don't care. I mean, they are always being like, you know, the cursing and stuff. I don't care about that. As long as it's good. Beam Up says, does a 1080p native resolution output game look better on a 1080p screen versus a 4K TV? Yes, it does. It looks better. If you don't use native resolution on a 4K, it doesn't look as good. But you have an option. For example, on this Nvidia control panel, there is an option to fix that. You go to let me see where it was. You go to desktop. You go to adjust desktop size and position, and you're gonna change the scaling mode to integer scaling. And with this option, you're gonna get the closest to a real. If you use 1080p, you're gonna get the closest to real 1080p. But yeah, I much rather just use DLSS performance, even when the performance is less than native 1080p. But it doesn't look. It looks softer. It looks softer than, for example, when I compare my plasma TV. I have my plasma TV side by side with the LG C1, and I use 1080p on the plasma and 1080p on the C1. The 1080p on the plasma looks sharper. It looks better. This is clearly better. Juan Carrasco says, "Hey, what's the best TV for gaming on PS5 between the G3 and S95C? Thank you for your videos and your knowledge. The S95C, because it has this Game Motion Plus, which is low latency motion interpolation. For those games on the PS5 that run at 60 FPS, you can get 120 with low latency, no flickering. I would go with the S95C. Now, make sure you are on a completely dark room. The S95C is a QD OLED. The QD OLEDs under lighting conditions lose the perfect blacks. You lose contrast, and it doesn't look like an OLED. You have to be in a completely dark room anyway to enjoy the best picture quality. That problem happens on the G3 also, to a lesser extent. But the G3 also has raised blacks under lighting conditions. But I will go with the S95C just because of that Game Motion Plus feature. So now I haven't tested that feature, but Gaming Tech has it, and he likes it a lot. Now, what I would do is I would get the S90C, especially if you can get the 77-inch. And if you want more performance, go to the service menu and unleash all the performance. That's what I would do. But that's not for everybody. But I would definitely get the S90C and go to the service menu. But yeah, if you get the smaller screen size of the S90C 55 inch or 65, that might have just the first generation QD OLED, which is not better. So if you can get the 77 inch, it's guaranteed to have the second gen QD OLED. And that's why I would go with that just to be safe. But if that's too big or too expensive, then uh, go for the S95C. That would be my recommendation. Hi everyone, thanks. By the way, the S95C also has that low latency motion interpolation for 30 FPS, but Gaming Tech didn't like it at 30. He said it has a lot of artifacts and it wasn't great. But yeah, it also works for 30. So on the PS5, for those games that are 30 FPS, 30 FPS is very bad anyway. So if you can have something to improve it, that's still better than nothing. Hosting says, "Hi everyone, thanks that always give us advice. Why in my TV tone mapping brighter than HDIG? But I think the inverse. No, I'm not sure which TV you have. I guess it's an LG OLED. It depends on the scene. Because these TVs have ABL, automatic brightness limiter. If the entire screen is pushing brightness, then you're not gonna get more brightness with dynamic tone mapping. It's not gonna happen because it's hitting ABL already. So now for that case, HDIG is gonna be the best looking, the brightest. That's what was happening on Mario, what I was explaining at the beginning. Mario is so bright everywhere that HDIG is just as bright as dynamic tone mapping. So maybe that's what you are experiencing. Uh, I don't know. I don't think my TV has HDIG. The panel starts clipping at 1700, 1800 nits. So maybe 772 is my tone mapping peak. But that is when the TV is using its HDR plus boost on. So if the TV is clipping at 1800 nits, then that's the clipping point. You want the games to be 1800 nits. Even when the TV is 500 nits, if it is tone mapping like that, then that's what you want to use all the time. You want to set the games to be max CLL 1800. It's that simple. You don't want to lower it to 500 because then you don't get the 500. So basically, this is what tone mapping means. If the TV is tone mapping at 1800, if you see the logo disappearing at 1800, then when the max CLL of the games is 1800, then you will get the 500 nits of your TV. That's what it means. Okay, so you don't get the 500 nits of your TV when the max CLL of the control is 500 because the TV is doing tone mapping in that case, if that's what's going on based on your testing. So then you need max CLL 1800. That's how it would be. Did you ever play Returnal? And if so, did you beat it? I didn't beat Returnal. I did play it, but the thing is, so many games, and it was difficult. Let me tell you, Returnal is difficult. It's a challenge. I have to play it. I still have it on my list. It is a very good game. I like how it looks a lot. The HDR is flawless. The gameplay is very good. I definitely have it on my list, but I didn't beat it. I didn't beat it. I have to. I have to play it, but it's tough. It's not an easy game. I think it's more difficult. Definitely way more difficult than Remnant 1. I'm not sure about Remnant 2, but it was definitely a lot more difficult than Remnant. The hard truth is that I already know almost all about HDR, and the real issue I cannot understand is what my TV in particular is doing to the HDR signal when using HDR plus and now using HDR plus. So HDR 10 plus, I have no idea if that's making any difference if the content is not HDR 10 plus. So the only thing I can guess is that the calibration of the HDR10 Plus might be different. If you have HDR10 Plus and HDR10 and Dolby Vision, the calibration of those modes might be different. But if you don't have a game that's HDR10 Plus, it shouldn't make any difference. I have no idea what's going on. But what you have to do is you have to test it. Test near black test patterns, clipping patterns, color clipping patterns, all the specific colors. Again, when I finish the live stream, I'm gonna post in the description of this video some test patterns that you can download. And I got this from AVS forums. These are very high quality HDR videos that you can test. You can use to test to try to understand what's going on with that TV. So that Rec 2020 looks like it raises the blacks a lot, and the black floor is dark blue. Yeah, you have to try to fix that with a 20-point calibration if you have it available. Yeah, if you have a 20-point calibration, try to use the color temperature meter app on your phone. With the color temperature meter app, if you're saying that the near black is looking blue, you're gonna see that the magenta to green balance is gonna tell you that issue. And all you have to do is just adjust red, green, and blue until you get that magenta to green balance to the point where it is when you have accurate settings. So let's say you set accurate settings on your TV, then you use a white screen. Okay, you will get a reading of magenta to green balance. That reading is not accurate, but it doesn't matter. What you're gonna do is you're gonna try to get that same number when you are near black. Okay, so let's say that you read magenta to green balance 0.002. Okay, then when you go near black, that's not what you're getting. Then you change red, green, and blue accordingly, so you get the same 0.002. That's how you fix that issue. So give it a try and let me know. Sony won't release a PS5 Pro. I don't really see that happening. I don't know why would they do that. They're still selling PS5 like hotcakes. I mean, I bought one myself. So yeah, I don't see that happening soon. Maybe in the future. I mean, 1-2 years from now, maybe. I don't know. I don't even play games anymore. I just calibrate my TV. Look at your videos. I do play games. I'm definitely playing less than before. Before having this YouTube channel, I was playing more. That's for sure. But I'm still playing. I mean, I'm still playing for sure. The thing is, I have so many games. Like someone was asking me about Returnal. Great game. I didn't play it a lot because it's just one game after the other. So because of the YouTube channel, I find myself installing the new games all the time, and that's a problem because then you stop playing what you're playing to try a new one, and at the end, it's like if you try to play all the games, you might not be able to play any of them. See, so it is. You have to find that, find the balance. So you're saying this is a Philips LCD? Go figure. I think they don't even sell Philips here in the US. Maybe I'm wrong about the tone mapping. I'm trying to learn what and how it works on my TV. Yeah, that's what you have to do, man. You have to figure it out on your own TV. Plank Sinatra says, I bought a 55-inch TCL 55C 745 for $490. 4K 144 Hz VA QLED. Was it a good buy? I have no idea the pricing of those TVs, but 55-inch for less than $500. I mean, that's pretty good. I guess it depends on how bad the black smearing is. Yeah, I mean, for that price, I wouldn't be too concerned about those details. It's a 55-inch TV for less than $500. I mean, does it have strobing? Does it have BFI or any kind of a backlight, persistence reduction technique. But yeah, I mean, just try to get the best out of it. Try to use some test patterns, learn um, like what everything PS5 Pro, what he's trying to figure out. What is the clipping point? How to make that TV look the best it can look, and the best settings for the TV, and also what do you want the content to be for it to look the best, basically. For example, my LGC one, I want the content to have 800 nits so I can use HDIG. That's it. So I know what I want from the content, and I know the settings for the TV that I like. So that's how you get the best out of it, of your own display. I have calibrated my TV to have D65 white point and perfect blacks. I think it looks great. However, Resident Evil 4 specifically, the blacks look blue and the gamma looks too bright. So if it is just a specific game, don't lose your mind with that, man, because it's the content. Like if the content is broken, then you just need to get better content. But maybe try to look for the same defects in other contents. Like I never installed Resident Evil 4. I tested Resident Evil Village, and it was very good, the HDR, from what I remember. So maybe it's the game. Don't lose your mind with that, because then it's not the TV. Yeah, I'll try my best. Again, I will post those videos so you can give it a try. Plank says, oh man, if you have 100 FPS in a single player, you will have 5 FPS in co-op with Fire Tornado. Yeah, co-op sometimes is more demanding on the CPU. I like to play with controller, so I'm not playing a lot of multiplayers because I play better with mouse and keyboard. So I feel like I'm at a disadvantage. You don't think your TV supports Rec 2020? I don't know, man. You have to play around with the settings and figure it out. It would be better if it would be good if I can maybe get other TVs to share my some settings and stuff. The thing is, the other TV I have here is like a very low end TCL TV, and it has almost no settings. So I don't have a lot to say because I don't have a lot of things to change. But so when I open that TV, I immediately find out what is the tone mapping, what is the brightness that the TV is pushing. So I go to Artings, for example. Okay, here's this TV. I go to Artings. Let me see the numbers. Let me see what is the brightness on a 10%, 25%, 100% window. Let me see what is the tone mapping. Open some test clipping patterns. Open the HDR calibration app. Take a look at near black to see if the TV is crushing blacks. See how is the gamma, and that's just a simple test. Immediately I know, okay, this is how I can make this TV look good. And I open the game, change the sliders accordingly, and boom, there you go. The TV looks fantastic. So it's just a matter of doing some simple test and figuring it out. Now, if the TV has more settings, if it has this Rec 2020 setting or DCI-P3, switch back and forth, see what's going on. Maybe they didn't calibrate the Rec 2020 well in the factory. I mean, it happened with the Samsung TV, so let alone a cheaper TV. In HDR, sRGB looks great, but Rec 709 looks insanely good. Sexton says, are the ICC profile needed for SDR mode? No, it's only for HDR. This ICC profile I posted in the description of the video is for HDR on Windows 11, okay? And it is specifically designed for content that is originally Gamma 2.2. So SDR content that is originally Gamma 2.2. If you have HDR on Windows 11, that content is going to look wrong, near black. It's going to look too bright. Using the HDR calibration app ICC profile. Okay, so to fix that, then you download this ICC profile, and that's how you can get the best looking, that content looking the best. Sitting on LGC1. Yeah, I really want to narrow down the issue here. I feel like I'm not missing anything here. I know almost all about HDR calibration. Been doing it for almost a year now. Yeah. Victor Jenkins says Unreal Engine 5 is pretty buggy, pretty ugly. I have to say, I expect more. I played Dead Space Remake last couple of days. Looks so much better than any of these Unreal Engine 5 games. The thing is, man, these developers and the internet in general, they are focused on things that look good on YouTube, I believe. Because on YouTube, some of the ugliness that I mentioned, some of the clarity issues and the blurriness, you cannot see that on YouTube because YouTube doesn't look it doesn't look as good as it's gonna look if you're running the game on your own PC. Okay? So it is like for advertisement purposes, it's basically they try to advertise what is gonna look good on the platform that they are using for advertisement, basically. So when you see a video hyping up Unreal Engine 5 and they are hyping up ray tracing, all these features, yes, it's gonna look good on that video. But when you play the game on your high-end 4K OLED TV or whatever on your PC, then you start noticing the ugliness and the issues. That's why I say that some of these problems that I'm complaining about, when I test these games on my plasma TV, it's not a big deal because this plasma TV is not 4K. It's not as sharp. It's not like this infinite contrast, this clarity that I am used to. Okay? So all the ugliness is hidden. But they don't understand that what makes a game look good is first of all the clarity and the performance. Okay, if you don't have clarity and performance, it's not gonna look good. It doesn't matter if it looks photorealistic, if it's blurry and you're not getting a good enough performance. That's what they have to understand, and they just try to keep pushing the performance and more aggressive upscaling and all of that just to get bare minimum 60 FPS, and that's just not good enough. Not good enough. And like this, like for example, this is the perfect example right now. I am using Nvidia DLSS performance in Remnant 2 with potato settings, okay? Potato settings. Right now, at the very beginning of the game, where there is nothing going on. Okay, we're talking about there are no enemies on screen right now. There are no explosions. Nothing is moving other than the trees 20 miles away. Okay, nothing is moving. And at DLSS performance, I am struggling to get 120 FPS on a 3080. That doesn't make any sense, man. It's just absolute nonsense because it looks like garbage. It's completely flat, no shadows, nothing. Okay, so this is not unacceptable. There is something wrong. Like if I'm with the developers, I'm gonna ask them, okay, how is the game right now looking so flat and so bad, and the performance is still like this? There is something that we need to fix here. There is something that we need to remove here, because with this level of fidelity, the game should be flying. Okay, now you start adding shadows and stuff, and I can definitely understand if the performance goes down. Okay, but what I cannot understand is this. This is what it's just mind-boggling. I cannot understand that the game looks bad and it performs bad. Okay, so yeah, it's a big problem we have. Unreal Engine 5 seems to have a problem with textures. They look unstable. Also, the games are super blurry and have noise. Perfect example, Remnant 2. I showed that on the video when I made the rant about it. When you look at the floor in Remnant 2, you have a lot of leaves on the floor, okay? The leaves are constantly moving, but it is not moving in a way where I can consider this creative intent, okay? Because leaves are not supposed to move like this, okay? We're talking about a texture on top of the floor that is doing this. Like if it was a wave, like if it was water, the leaves are moving like water. It just this is an issue. This is not purposely, an animation. This is not an animation for the leaves, because these leaves are looking like they are floating on top of the floor. They do not look grounded. So it's just terrible, man. It's just terrible looking. It performs like crap. Hosing says, I have an A2 48-inch. You think it's better? I know that supports max 500 nits. Better than what? I mean, is this an OLED? LG A2 48-inch. I have no idea about the A2. I've never, let me see what are the specs of that. I've never seen anything about it. LG A2 specs. Let me see. USB 2, so that is 60 hertz, so it's not 120 hertz. 4K, 60 hertz. It has dynamic tone mapping, ultra luminance pro. Yeah, it's an OLED, man. To watch content, like just movie contents and YouTube videos, that is perfect. It's 60 hertz, so you cannot go beyond 60, and it probably doesn't have BFI, but I mean, it's an OLED. You get perfect blacks and you get the same benefits that an OLED can give you. BMOP says maybe you could some HDIG videos when you have a PS5 with BFI. You could do some HDIG videos. So I am not gonna have a PS5. I gifted the PS5, so I'm gonna see it next week. I'm going to see it because the thing is, I didn't want to buy it. So ideally, I would get the PS5, make some videos. But the problem is, I didn't want to pay for a bag, and the PS5 is just gigantic. I cannot have the PS5 on my personal bag with the other stuff that I have to travel with. So I decided to just send the PS5 directly. I ordered a Spider-Man 2 PS5 from Amazon. It was the same $500. So I'm not gonna get it here at home to test it. But it's the same. It doesn't matter if the PS5 or PC or whatever. HDIG is gonna be the most accurate. So basically, if the content is trying to push all the brightness possible, and the TV is hitting ABL limitations already, dynamic tone mapping is not gonna look brighter. That's the thing. But I do use dynamic tone mapping for BFI in some instances. I mean, most of them actually. So you're saying that you have all the ABS tests? Well, that should be enough then, man. If you have all the tests, my TV looks amazing in HDR in almost all games, but Resident Evil 4, then it doesn't matter. It's the game. If the game is garbage, then it's just what it is. Don't bother with it. I don't remember which one, but all SDR content looks perfect, and almost all HDR content looks perfect. It's the game, man. Games are messed up. Buy almost every AAA game, just spend the first 6 hours playtime calibrating and checking how good. To be honest, I don't spend I spend like 5 minutes in settings nowadays, because is very easy, especially with the HDR calibration app. You no longer have to be, putting your nose on the screen to see if the game has perfect blacks. You just open the HDR calibration app and it's gonna tell you immediately what's going on. So I don't spend any time calibrating anything. I already did it. I already have the settings on the TV that I want, and I already know exactly how I want from the game. Okay, it just doesn't take me any time. I will do, like, for example, when Avatar comes out, I'm going to do first impression. So as soon as I install the game, I'm going to install the game day one, unless that I'm working that day, the whole day, and I don't have time. I will do first impressions. I'm just gonna open the game, and you will see I set up the HDR settings immediately, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. So I will see if I do the same I did for Hogwarts Legacy, which is gonna be showing you the game on HDR and my face in the corner of the screen, so I can show you a higher quality video. And I'm gonna tweak the settings, the OBS settings, to make sure that recording is good and it's not like stuttery and all of that. So I'll show you how I set up the HDR settings with the Lilium shaders and all of that instantly. But I think that the HDR is gonna be good. It should be good. J-Star Production says, have you seen Amazon have a 4K 55-inch smart TV for $589 down to $149 in the UK, 73% off for Black Friday? Not sure if they have the same deal overseas. I don't know, man. But that seems like a pretty good deal. What is the brand of that TV? There's a lot of deals for Black Friday, especially for TVs. But to be honest, I don't really care too much about the deal, because I think that sometimes we can get caught up on the deal. Oh, but is this is 20% off or 30% off, and that's why you want to buy it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Do you need it or not? Let's see, is that what you want or not? That's what I ask myself. I don't really care too much about price. If I really want something, and if I don't have the money, then I just need to work more to get it. I don't care at all about the price or the discount or whatever. Of course, I'm gonna buy a PS5 right now. There's a deal. It's coming with the Spider-Man 2, and it costs the same as without Spider-Man 2. Of course, I'm gonna get a deal. But I need a PS5 right now. I don't care that it is not discounted, and then on Black Friday it's gonna be cheaper. I don't care about Black Friday. I'm caring about right now. I need to buy it. I buy it right now. It's that simple. I just really, really don't care too much about those kind of deals. Pricing, basically. I don't care really about pricing, to be honest. Not that I'm rich. I'm far from that, but it's just not the mindset. Frank says, I don't have a calibration device. Should I buy one and tinker with it myself, or bring the TV to a professional printing company and pay them to calibrate it for me? I'm not gonna say no, because if you get a calibration equipment, you're probably gonna learn something. I don't have calibration equipment myself, and I'm not interested in buying one, because by tweaking the settings here and there, I've learned the limitations of this TV, a little bit of it. So I don't think I'm going to get a much better result with calibration. This is a WRGB OLED that has the limitations that it has. A calibration is not gonna fix the ABL. Will I get 300 nits full screen if I calibrate the TV? No. So then I don't care about calibrating the TV. See, the performance that I'm getting on the TV is the same. I don't care about the creative intent. I don't care, because I disagree. I disagree with almost everything that these creators decide to do. I want to change everything, basically, almost everything. So calibrating is for that. Is to get as close as possible to the creator's intent, which I don't care at all about it. So yeah, I don't think I don't see myself anytime soon getting calibration equipment. I don't really care, to be honest. The only thing I would care is to learn more, but not to get a better result on my TV. I don't think that's worth it. Definitely, I would never pay a calibrator. So what I would do is I would pay a calibrator to teach me how to calibrate for sure. I value that. I would definitely pay someone. Like if I were to pay someone $500 to calibrate my TV, I don't care about them calibrating my TV. I would care about them showing me how to do it. I would definitely pay them for that, but not for the results because I don't care. I don't really care about that. Um, Resident Evil 4 looks great on SDR, Rec 709 in terms of gamma and black floor. Yeah, I don't have the game. I've never tested it. I think 40 FPS unlocked at 4K is great for consoles at the moment. There's a few games that run like this that I've played on the PS5 and it feels like 60 FPS. It is the best option for consoles in my opinion. Um, well, the thing is, I get what you're saying. Maybe at 40 FPS unlocked, you're getting a higher resolution or more graphical fidelities and stuff. But you have to think about this. The reason why you have to trade off resolution to get a higher FPS and all of that is because of the games. Okay. You have to see, these developers need to understand that if they change the game, if they change what they want to accomplish with the games, it is totally possible for them to deliver 4K, 120 FPS with a sharp looking picture and a good responsiveness and everything. The problem is that they want to push the lighting, they want to push this and that, and at the end, you're gonna end up with a game that has popping anyway. It looks blurry, and now to get a picture that doesn't look like a mess, now you need to go down to 30 FPS and 40, and then now it doesn't look like a mess when you are static, but when you move the camera, it's a mess. So the best is to guarantee resolution and performance. After that, then you try to push all the graphics you want. Again, if I was a game developer right now and I was the head of the studio or the technical department or whatever, I would say, okay, whatever your vision is, it has to work on the consoles at 4K 120. Why? Because most of the high-end TVs we have today are 4K 120, and because the PS5 can do 4K 120. That is going to be the best looking and the best feeling for the games. Okay. Now, after you guarantee that 100%, then you can push all the graphics you want. Okay. Use all the talent we have, everything to do magic. Okay. And make it look as good as possible. But 4K 120 has to be guaranteed. And I'm talking about no drops. Use dynamic resolution scaling. If it has to drop below 4K just for very demanding moments, okay. But the least amount of compromises to the clarity and the responsiveness of the game. That's a must. That's what I would do. So, yeah, going down to 40 frames per second on a console that can do 4K 120, it's just not it wouldn't be the best option. The problem is, I feel you. Sometimes at 60 or beyond, it's just not gonna look good. A static picture, and if the static picture doesn't look good, then moving picture is not gonna look good anyway. Also on the PS5, if we know the native resolution of the game, should we change the output on the PS5 to match the native resolution of the game? Would that be better? Oh, I understand now what your question is coming from. The PS5 is upscaling to 4K, and correct me if I am wrong. It doesn't matter if the internal resolution of the game is 1440p. The PS5 is upscaling from 1440p to deliver a 4K signal to your TV. So Now the question is, if you connect a 1440p monitor to a PS5, now if the PS5 doesn't have to do that upscaling, do you get a better performance? That would be the question. Will it look worse because it is not upscaling to 4K? I don't know. I don't know that. But I think I kind of understand where your question was coming from. The thing is that, man, they are sacrificing resolution and performance to get a more, better graphics, and that's not a good idea. It's just not. It's wrong. Resonator says, I've been testing the sRGB Gamma 2.2 ICC profile, and these are the best HDR settings in Cyberpunk that gives you SDR black levels for great HDR highlights and contrast. I don't believe so. It works. It works, but it works like, how can I say? Cyberpunk has the race blacks issues because of the green filters. I believe that the game has this green filter, so the blacks are raised by creative decision, the same way Starfield has a raised blacks. And this ICC profile is gonna crush blacks. So because it's crushing blacks, it looks better than vanilla. But that doesn't mean that it is fixing it like perfectly. Okay. My recommendation for Cyberpunk is the settings I recommended. I tested Lilium's HDR Black Floor Fixed Shader, SDR Black Floor Emulation, HDR Black Flooring. I tested the PROD 8003 curved levels. I tested everything. I tested the ICC profile, everything. The best settings I can get on Cyberpunk are the settings I recommended. And I actually recommended on the video. And then I updated the settings when the new Phantom Liberty DLC came out. I tested it again and I tweaked those settings. I mean, it's imperceptible, but I fine-tuned it just a little bit more. And those are the best settings. And the reason why I still recommend those is because I cannot get a better result than that. Again, I tested everything. I cannot get a better result than that. So give that a try. Check it out. Any tips from when I want to be 500 nits peak bright and also get good highlights? Should I just put the max peak on PS5 to 1700 nits? Yeah, if you're telling me that you see the logo disappearing at 1700 or 1800 nits, that's what I would do. Just right there where you see the logo disappearing, that's where I would use it. Peak brightness 800, paper white 250, tone map midpoint 1.8. Thanks for sharing the settings. But again, give a try the settings that I recommended for Cyberpunk. Let me see if I am too behind in the comments. Well, I am way behind. Let me go faster over it. Gotta say, man, I'm really glad I found your channel, Uday, in the live video where you show that foods you just bought was the breaking point for me. Look, I'm hooking your videos. Yeah, I do something very special with my diet. The thing is, my message for everyone is, you know what's bad. I mean, the details of, I eat specifically this or that, that's not the most important message. The message is, everyone knows what's really, really bad. Now, the problem is, why is it so difficult to avoid those foods? And the answer is very simple. We are used to a normal, let's say that the normal pleasure, the normal stimulation that food should cost on us is right here. Now you start eating pizza, hamburger, ice cream, all those sweets, and wow, the pleasure goes up. And then you think, oh, this is great. I don't care about the consequence. Look how much pleasure I'm getting. But no, that's not how it works. The nervous system will numb down your senses. And now that super highly concentrated food is going to become normal. And when the highly concentrated food becomes normal, you are in deep trouble, because now the healthy stuff is nothing. It feels wrong. You're in big trouble. And that's the issue. And the problem is the environment. It's not you. Your brain is designed to make you survive. Okay? That's why when you eat something that is more concentrated, you like it, because your brain is telling you, good job. That's what we need. But that super highly concentrated stuff is not natural. It's not supposed to be in nature. So your brain it's not ready for it, basically. So it is, your brain is guiding you wrong. Okay? Because that food just doesn't exist in nature. See? So what you have to do is go to the good stuff and stay there long enough so that becomes normal. When the good stuff becomes normal, then you're good to go. You enjoy your food and you're going to be healthy. It's that simple. That's the message. More than I eat specifically this or that. Because that's what can make the difference for people. See? So yeah. Give it a try, man. Just stay long enough and you will see. Stay long enough with the good stuff and you will see that it's gonna become normal. You will enjoy it. There's no way you stay long enough with good food and you don't enjoy it. It's impossible. You will enjoy it. Hooked. My man loves your content, man. Bimov says, man, I wish LG and Samsung had a reality creation feature that Sony has. It will remove any softness in any game that I hate. It is like fake 4K, but done well. I would like to give it a try. Sony, I mean, I'm not sure if you saw the community post. I share this Sony BVM HX 3110 is coming with BFI behind the paywall. And I couldn't confirm that because, of course, on the Sony website, they don't tell you. Okay? But they do say something about a license, like a special license. Like, okay, you have to buy this feature. And it blows my mind to spend someone or a corporation or whatever, whoever it is, after they buy this reference monitor, it's like over $30,000. Then you have the two features actually behind a paywall. You have the BFI feature, which it seems to be at 60 only. Okay, so not even 120 BFI at 60. And then there is another feature that is to convert from HDR to SDR. Look, from HDR to SDR, you have to pay more money for that. That's like, what? So I would be so enraged. Like, I mean, even if, let's say I was multimillionaire, okay? I become multimillionaire. I would be like, okay, I'm going to buy that reference monitor. I don't care. $30,000. Okay, I have money. I don't care. I bring that monitor home and they tell me to use BFI, now you have to pay more money. I don't care if it's $1 more or $2 more. I already bought the TV. The TV is right now capable of offering that feature. It is not something that Sony has to now implement or pay more money or change the hardware or something. I mean, if you go to the website and they say, okay, this reference monitor comes with BFI, this one does not come with BFI, and this one costs more money, I will be okay with that. Okay, I have no issue with that. But we're talking about The TV I just purchased for $30,000 plus has the capability right now to use BFI, and they are locking that behind the paywall. Again, this is not 100% confirmed because they are not clear on their website. Someone told me that, and it might not be true. But if this is true, I would just lose my mind. I'd be like, what? I would 100% return that. I would make at least one video about it, that's for sure, and rant for 100%, because it's just, that's unacceptable. Some people might think, oh, but that's not for regular consumers, that's for professionals, and professionals don't care about that. I'm sorry, professionals make money, okay? Everyone cares about money, okay? You're buying something because that's your job, you're making a movie or whatever, you're doing that to make money. They are milking you. If they are doing that, they are milking you, okay? Fisting you, or whatever you want to call it. That is just unacceptable, man. You cannot lock a feature behind the paywall if the device is already capable of doing that. It's like locking it on with software. See what I'm saying? It's not costing them more money to have them unlock. So I would just be like, I cannot understand that. But yeah, I've heard good things about some of the Sony processing. Others say that it's just the worst. I've seen other channels saying that, you know, the Sony processing is the worst and the motion is the worst, and so I would like to test it myself. Matthias says, hey my man, can I use your C1 HDR white balances settings on a G1? You can try it, but I would recommend you to do it yourself. You know, when I do these videos, sharing the settings, I always, explain my criteria. Okay, my settings are not accurate. Okay, I am not using any instruments. Well, yeah, I'm using that mobile app, so I'm using the phone as an instrument. But my point is, I explain how I got to those settings, because my recommendation is for you to try it. You try to do your own calibration, and then what you can do is use the different picture modes that the TV has. So you can, for example, calibrate vivid mode or home cinema mode, and then compare that with filmmaker mode with warm 50. Okay, so basically compare any mode with accurate settings, out of the box accurate settings. Then you do your calibration on the other mode, and then you can go back and forth in real time. So you can have a picture example in real time and change it back and forth to see if what you did looks better to you, which is what matters at the end. And that's how you can know is better. So what I would recommend is to do it yourself, do the calibration yourself. And it depends. If you're in Windows, for example, it depends if you're using the HDR calibration app profile. So under color profile, if you're using the Windows 11 HDR calibration app profile, or if you're using this Gamma 2.2 profile, it matters because this changes everything. So use the color temperature meter app, do the calibration using the test patterns that I share, which is this full screen pictures, and then go back and forth and see if you like it. If you don't like it, then what you can do is move the magenta to green balance, move it. So let's say with accurate settings, the magenta to green balance is at 0.003, okay? And your phone, the readings that you're getting on your phone, that's not accurate, okay? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the color temperature and this magenta to green balance, the accuracy of it doesn't matter. What matters is that it is a reference point. It is a number that you can change or keep it the same. So for example, on your G1, you try 150, depending the screen size. Some of these TVs warm 48, I believe it is, or 44, or 40, 41, something like that. The bigger screen sizes have a different setting. watch Classy Tech calibrations. He knows that. So use that warm 50 or 48, 41 or whatever it is, depending on the screen size of your U1, and then have that as a reference point. Then use the color temperature meter app on your phone and see what is the white balance. Okay, what is the color temperature? Okay, it might say 6650K. Okay, or even 70,000K or 6300K or whatever it is. The accuracy of that reading is irrelevant. It just doesn't matter whatsoever at all. But it is a number, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're going to keep that number consistent across the entire grayscale using the full screen pictures that I share in those videos, okay? So you make it the same. Okay, the other thing that you're gonna make it the same is the magenta to green balance. You make sure that that magenta to green balance number, which might be 0.003 or 0.002, is the same across the entire grayscale. So now, if you see that the skin tones look green, okay, like they were saying, oh, the G3, the skin tones, they look green, then move the magenta to green balance 0.001 to the left, okay, towards magenta, okay, and give it a try. And then you create that calibration and you go back and forth between the calibration that you created and the accurate settings, okay? And that's how you find out something that looks better to you, okay? We're not talking about accuracy here. This is not gonna be D65, but it might look better. And I am very happy with the results that I get doing that, to the point where I would not bother at all with any other calibration, because I basically have my TV with a warmer color temperature, a lot warmer than D65 would be, and it looks good to me. So it looks better to my eyes. It is more relaxing to my eyes, and that's all it matters. So yeah, give it a try. But you can give it a try, my settings a try for sure. What is up, Real Rob? Flank says, uh, indeed, this is definitely a 6-digit channel. A 6-digit channel. Yeah, we're gonna reach almost 6,000 subscribers soon. So yeah, see how we're going. We are at a point of no return, so we're gonna keep going. What are your Nvidia control panel settings for gaming? So many options there. Yeah, so what I use here on the Nvidia control panel, let me open it. I always use, we go here to manage 3D settings. So first of all, under resolution, of course, RGB, so the color format RGB, output dynamic range full, so full RGB, 10 bits at 120 hertz. And I go to 3D settings and I always force VSync on the Nvidia control panel. So I always have vertical sync on the Nvidia control panel, and I turn it off on the games. That's what I do. And then I also have the last setting where it says Vulkan OpenGL present method. I change that to prefer layered on DXGI swap chain. And this prefer ledger on DXGI swap chain setting allows you to have auto HDR for Vulkan games. Okay, so you can use this app that I share with you to force auto HDR from Windows 11 for every game, including DirectX 11, 12, Vulkan, everything. So then I changed this texture filtering quality to high quality. Some people say that change this better to performance because the visual difference is not visible and you get better 1% lows or better performance even. I have it on high quality. I haven't tested this back and forth or side by side to have a reason, but because it says high quality, that's what I want. So that's what I changed it. And then I also changed this texture filtering negative LOD bias. I changed that to clamp. It defaults to allow, and I changed that to clamp. The explanation, I forgot. So this is one of those things that I've been doing for a very long time, and I forgot the explanation of this. Why I use this? Let me see what it says here on the clamp. This has to do with some textures at the distance looking sharper with clamp or something like that. I'm not sure. Again, I don't remember why, but that's what I've been using forever. I might have to check the settings. And then, of course, the power management, prefer maximum performance. Because I prefer maximum performance. It makes sense. It's just gonna make sure that the GPU is not like downclocking maybe for some reason, and I don't want that. I want maximum performance all the time. I don't care about saving power at all. And then low latency mode and ultra. And then of course the DSR, the Nvidia Deep Learning Super Resolution. I use that if I can. It looks very good on some games, and I definitely use it for the plasma TV. I always use it for the plasma TV. But even here, there are some games that I can run on my C1 with this. So then for this, what I do is I change the DSR smoothness. I lower that because the default 33% works very well with these 4K TVs, but on the plasma TV, I lower it to 25 or even 20% to get more sharpness, because I don't need that much anti-aliasing, because the plasma has like a more natural anti-aliasing. So basically, this DSR smoothness slider defaults to 33%. That is like the sweet spot between anti-aliasing and sharpness. I like to lower that a little bit. I lower it to 30, and that does make a difference. That is something that I've tested back and forth. So for my LGC1, I lowered that to 30%, and for the plasma, I lowered it to between 20-25%. So feel free to play around with that slider. And this only has an effect when you use this NVIDIA Deep Learning Super Resolution, which at 4K, we're talking about 5120 by 2880. That's 1.78x of 4K. And 5760 by 3240. That's 2.25x of 4K. That looks very good. The only game where I use this resolution is on Sifu, because it runs well enough and it looks fantastic. Of course, Sifu, after you remove motion blur and all the Unreal Engine 4 noises, it comes with forced motion blur and other things, or post-processing garbage. But after you remove that, the game runs very well, and I can use that DSR factors. I was also using it for The Witcher 3 before the update, where they just messed it up completely, in my opinion. It was running so well and looking amazing. So I have that version of the game for sure. That's the one I play. So yeah, let me see what else. If you want to use NVIDIA image scaling, I use that for some games where when they don't support DLSS. I use NVIDIA image scaling, and that also has a sharpness slider. I lowered that to 0 because some games with TAA look broken if you get some sharpness from NVIDIA image scaling. But for others, I can increase it to 20-30%, maybe even 50 if it looks very blurry. But most of the games now are supporting DLSS, so I don't have to use that a lot. But yeah, those are my settings on the NVIDIA control panel. And G-Sync, of course, if I am going to use G-Sync for a game, I would use enable for windowed and full screen mode. What that's gonna do is that's gonna make sure that it doesn't go beyond 120. It doesn't go beyond the refresh rate, and then you start getting screen tearing. So this might be useful, for example, if you have a 40 series GPU and you're using frame generation. You don't want the FPS to go beyond 120, because then you start getting screen tearing, that's not gonna be better. So in that way, it stays at 120, and you get that perfect um, clarity without tearing. And that's it. The other things, yeah, that's all. That's all I do. That's all the settings I use on the Nvidia control panel. Good question. I set global FPS limit and reflex on plus boost. My 165 hertz monitor is limited to 158 globally for reflex to properly work in games that don't natively support it. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't make like a big difference in terms of motion clarity or anything like that. So yeah, they do that. Like for example, 120 FPS, it goes down to 117 or 16, and that's okay. That's what they do with these features and NVIDIA reflex and boost, and for G-Sync, that's what they do. So I don't see any problem with that. Not sure what is your question. You're gonna live stream Nintendo games on HDR? There is a way to live stream on HDR. I have to figure that out. The games on PS5 have a locked resolution output that is set by the developer. All games that run at a higher resolution than your TV monitor will look more smooth and less pixelated, but native is 4K. I agree, make 4K 120 first, but it seems the developers aren't doing that. I hate soft looking images, one of my pet peeves, and I hate playing those games in a 4K screen. This is why the TV's brand need to upscale better. My PS5 looks sharper and clarity on the A95K, but I like playing on the LG and Samsung, but they are soft looking when it is not 4K, unfortunately. Yeah, for me, I mean, one of the most important features that a TV can have is motion interpolation, very strong motion interpolation, low latency motion interpolation for gaming, and this kind of resolution upscaling processing. If they can get that with low latency, that would be great, especially to just watch the TV, because most of the content on the TV is 720p 30 fps or 24 fps, which is really bad. So I would definitely focus on those if I were, LG, Samsung. That's like the most important thing. Yes, your food analogy is like changing your sleep pattern. Your body will adapt. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you got mad about my comment. No, I hope it come across great. Sorry for my bad English. What I meant was I really enjoy all your content. I need more of your content. Absolutely. I'm not getting mad at all. Thank you for being here, man. Sony Reality Creation, Samsung Game Motion Plus, LG Deep Blacks, HDIG would be a perfect TV. Yeah, of course, getting a little bit of everybody would be the best. What's the difference between TAA and dynamic upscaling, and which one do you prefer? It's not a matter of difference. You can have both. Like in Spider-Man, you can have dynamic resolution scaling and DLSS at the same time. So dynamic resolution scaling is just to have an FPS target, and it will lower the internal resolution just to keep the performance, keep the FPS all the time locked. I mean, every single game should have that for sure, especially if they are going to use, this kind of TAA and upscaling. Anyway, so NVIDIA control panel, I use the fastest VSync option, and I never noticed a screen tearing. I used to use this fast sync motion before, but I think I tried it with this LG C1. It was not the same. I used to use it with a regular LCD monitor, and it was working well. Power saving an NVIDIA control panel can cause stutters in some games like Remnant 2. Oh, there you go. I swear me and you could be could the best TV. So me and you could the best TV. DSR plus sharpening, reshade. Yeah, you can use also reshade has sharpening too. Eric Thomas says, if you had more space, would you buy more televisions? Specifically, if you found a cheap top tier Kuro. Yeah, I'm not buying another Kuro, that's for sure. I don't like to buy stuff. I keep my I mean, I keep my life simple because for me, money is freedom. So when I spend money, that is freedom that I'm taking away. And I value freedom more than anything. So what I would like is to have enough money to feel like I am free to do whatever I want. So I do not like to buy stuff. Like I don't buy anything. I just make money, make money, make money, make money. And I want to feel like I could be I wouldn't have to work anymore. See? And I would just do whatever I want. That's what I wanted. That's how I see it. So I would never be buying gear all the time. I would like these companies to start sending me products. That would be nice for the channel. But I would not buy it myself. Not at all. Especially, I mean, monitors, like a smaller screen size, I'm not interested on it. I want a bigger screen size, if anything. So for me to upgrade to get like a new TV from this LG C1 is gonna be tough because we're talking about more hertz. So with more hertz, now I need a better PC, and now we need games that can run fast enough like that, and we're not getting that. So yeah, I'm not gonna be the one buying gear all the time because I'm just not spending that money. You're gonna get an S95B or S90C. Help us, cue the OLED bros. Maybe like TKK said that, see if we can plan together next year to see if I can pass by his house. We're gonna get some QD OLED videos for sure. I mean, I would like to have them. I would like to have a QD OLED too. Eventually, I will have all the display technologies because I want to have them. But I just cannot like I cannot be buying TVs like that because again, it's like freedom that I'm taking away. See, like think about this: a QD OLED, for example, costs like $2,000. Let's say $2,000 for me. That is like 2 months of freedom. That's that worth a lot. That is worth a lot to me. So I think a lot more than twice before I make a purchase like that. See, so that's the problem. But I would like to have them, a QD OLED for sure. So I finally Fantasy 16 stutters on 60 FPS in the demo PS5. If it stutters on the PS5, does the port for PC stutters also? Not necessarily. But yeah, usually usually you do get stutters on the PC. The stutters are traversal stutters, or loading the assets, or shader compilation stutters. So yeah, I mean, if it stutters on the PS5, on the PC, yeah, most likely it will stutter. Hi Ariel, does it matter which ICC profile, 100, 200, 300, 400, I use for the car HDR mod? And does it matter how the slider brightness for SDR content is set when I use the mod for a game? Okay, so this 100, 200, 300, 400 nits that he's talking about is this ICC profile that I share to fix the originally Gamma 2.2 content when you have HDR on Windows. This 100, 200, 300, 400 is referring to the max CLL that corresponds with a specific percentage of the SDR HDR slider. When you turn on HDR on Windows, you scroll down, you have a slider that is going to give you more brightness for the SDR content. So this SDR content brightness slider, if you have that at 100%, what that means is that the max CLL of all SDR content on Windows will be 540 nits. If you lower that to 80, if I remember correctly, 80% might be like 400 nits or even less, 75%, something like that. You have to test that with, you just take a screenshot and open that with the HDR WCG image viewer app. So if you download the 400 nits profile, then that is calibrated for you to use the slider to get 400 nits, basically. But I don't care about that difference. I just max that out. It's just not gonna be a problem. It is better to max it out for this LG OLEDs because we have oh, I'm sorry. When you max out the slider, the max CLL is not 540, is 498. The 540 is the tone mapping target that we have on these LG OLEDs. So I maxed that out. The max CLL is 498, so almost 500 nits. And then I use mastering peak max CLL 540, and then I use tone mapping off or dynamic tone mapping for black frame insertion. That's what I do. So depending on the profile, you want to max out the slider, or lower it. So I see no reason. I don't see any reason to use the 100 or 200 nits, because if you care about accurate SDR, just turn off HDR completely. just use SDR. So if you use HDR on Windows, is to get more brightness. So to get more brightness, get the 400 nits profile, max out the slider, and change the tone mapping of the TV to get more brightness. That's what I would do. Are you thinking about maybe creating a Discord server? A lot of people have asked me about that, but I don't think I would have time for that. I saw the gaming tech Discord server, and it's busy. It's busy, like people commenting and asking questions, and I do that on the channel. Like, I've been responding to all the comments, and the thing is, when you do a comment on the YouTube channel, you are helping the channel grow. Okay, because the videos that get more engagement, YouTube recommends those videos more, so more people can see it, more people can find the channel. If I create a Discord server, that doesn't help the channel in any way, almost in any way. So I just don't see the usefulness of that. I'm gonna help you anyway. If you make a comment on the video, I am going to respond. I've responded to all the comments so far, even with all the subscribers we have. So I much rather have you, making a comment on the video, because that's going to help the channel. If I have a Discord server, I am taking away those comments from the channel. Plus, now I have more interactions that I need to fulfill. So that's why I haven't done it. I don't see the usefulness of that. SB Digital says, finally, an educated gaming channel. I don't really, I don't consider myself an expert. I've always said that, and I really do little to no research. Like, I'm never, watching the news. When I do the videos, I rarely prepare anything. Like, I don't try to get educated. Basically, I'm gonna tell you what I know, my ideas, and people tell me, and then I read the comments, and I'm basically learning most of the things from the comments of the channel. That's why I know most of the things that I know. 4K 240 hertz OLED coming Q1 of 2024. Yes, 1440p 360 hertz too. I'm actually more interested about that one. But the thing is, 360 FPS on the games is almost impossible. So yeah, I hope we get 4K 240 hertz on big TVs. That's what we need. But it seems like it's just gonna happen on monitors, for at least for now. And I'm not downgrading the screen size. It has to be same or bigger than a TV that I have. Yeah. Ben says, Quantum TV has been saying the same thing you're saying for years about HDR and SDR. All the hearsay about director's intent BS, you both could do good together as a collab. Yeah, I'm open to collaborate with any content creator. And I watch the Quantum TV's YouTube channel. I like it. I think he's very talented. The way he speaks with confidence, his voice, his accent. I think he's very talented. So I usually don't. I try to only look at the positive sides. When I watch any content on YouTube, if I decide that I want to watch it because I'm interested on that content or on that content creator, I'm never trying to look for focus on the defects. I focus on the things that I like and try to learn about a little bit about everyone. So yeah, I'm open to collaborate with anyone. I would like to do a live stream with everybody. Hybrid says, do you think SED would have been a good display technology if Canon didn't file for bankruptcy? Yeah, people have been telling me about that. SED, it was basically a flat CRT. That would be bananas. But I don't know. I've never seen that. I don't know how good that was gonna be. It's sad that the industry is moving always, of course, it's always moving forward with profits in mind more than anything else. And we don't get the best we could get because they are not focused on making the best. So yeah, it's crazy. Where can I add you on social media or Steam or whatnot? Maybe we can game in the future together. I don't really play any multiplayer games. Like on social media, I am only on YouTube. Like I don't use Facebook other than to buy something on the Facebook marketplace. I don't use Instagram. I don't use Twitter. I don't use anything. I'm still relatively new to the internet, and with this YouTube channel now, I cannot pay attention to anything else really. And to play with games, I have a lot of friends from Cuba that are here in the U.S. and we've played Call of Duty sometimes. Take some water. We play sometimes Call of Duty, or we don't do it. We don't do it often because the timing has to work, and I play when I have time. That's the thing. But yeah, well, thank you for that. Yeah, there is a hack for the S90C, S90, and S95C to reach 2000 peak brightness. There is a video on YouTube. Oh, what's the name of the video? I would like to see it. Yeah, I've heard that. So far, every game and native HDR, I use Windows calibration, and every AutoHDR game uses the Gamma 2.2 ICC. Not all of them, but yeah, most of them are, but not all of them. So, for example, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, and I tested this game that I show, Submerge, Hidden Depth. That one is sRGB. All of those are sRGB. Let me see what else. There has to be more, but most of them, for sure, most of the games are Gamma 2.2 for sure. Eric Thomas says, avoid Quantum TV, especially if you want to avoid YouTube drama. He is not somebody you want to collaborate with. I am different. I want to collaborate with everybody. I don't care about what anyone says. I try to look at the positive side only and exclusively. I am not interested about fighting with anybody. I would not respond. If someone ever says something bad about me here on the channel, I block them. It's that simple. And if someone makes a video on YouTube talking bad about me, I ignore it. I will not respond. Okay? So I just try to look at the positive things. I have a lot of things I can learn from Quantum TV and from anyone. And I don't care about his business. That's none of my business. What he does to make money, that's not my problem. But he is talented in what he does because he has 80,000 subscribers plus. He has been doing it for a very long time. And I respect that even with all the drama that you're mentioning, and despite any personal issues or whatever, he has been consistent in keeping the content coming. And I respect that, because many people in a situation like that, they might quit. Doing this is not easy. To putting yourself out there is not easy, because you run the risk of drama, you run the risk of people attacking you. Some people might not like you, and it's a wild world. So I respect many of the things that he has done. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with everything he does, and I don't have to. I don't have to agree with you at all, and we can still be friends. So I don't really care, to be honest. I try to. I would like to be collaborate with everybody. I don't care, and I will never make a video talking bad about anyone. I'm not, just not what I do. I do this because I like it. If I start fighting, then I would not like it. So yeah, that's my answer. Flank Sinatra says, do you watch HDTV test? Of course. I like that guy, but I don't understand everything. His channel grew a lot lately. HDTV test has been doing this for years. I mean, like 8 years, I believe. And he's a professional. He knows a lot about this stuff. Yeah, I of course watch all his videos. My only recommendation to him would be to update his motion clarity testing, because he's still talking about that old benchmark, that SPD disk benchmark, which is basically a test with a given speed that doesn't change. And he's talking about most lines of resolution, and that is just an outdated benchmark. To measure motion clarity, you have to talk about persistence, pixel visibility time, and you have to talk about speed and difference. Which speed are we talking about? So this concept of lines of motion resolution is just not explaining motion clarity. So that's what I would recommend to HDTV test. I would like to do a live stream with HDTV test and explain him that. Not that I am an expert in motion clarity, but I care, and I start making some noise about it. And the Blurbusters chief reached out to me, and he told me, let me explain you. Because you want to spread this message. I see your enthusiasm, but let me explain you. So he answered my questions, and now I think I understand it very well. So I would be open to explain anyone who wants to talk about motion clarity on a review. If you don't mention persistence like you're not targeting it. Like, and I understand they don't want to, if you're targeting a bigger audience, you want to make it as easy as possible to understand. But for example, I watched this morning a video from Tim from Hardware Unbox, Monitors Unbox YouTube channel. He's probably the best when it comes to reviewing monitors. I mean, probably not, for sure. He's the best. I have no doubt about it. And he did a fantastic video explaining the differences between 30, 60, 120, 240, and 540 even hertz. But he never mentioned persistence. Why not? If when he makes a video, he talks about cumulative deviation and a lot of terms that are very advanced. Okay, why you don't mention persistence? If you're gonna talk about motion clarity, why you don't mention exactly the Blurbuster's law? It is at the same level of the things that he's explaining. It is at the same level. So I don't understand why. And I'm sure he understands that. I have no doubt in my mind he understands that perfectly fine. But for some reason, he decides that that's not worth mentioning, basically. So I would like to. I would love to do a live stream one day with Tim, and I will learn a lot from him. I mean, I would say he's an expert on reviewing monitors. He does the best reviews for monitors that I've seen. So yeah, might mod my S95B to get 1500 nits. I would definitely do that. I would 100% do whatever I can and get more brightness. The calibrators, I've heard them say, don't do that because you're going to over brighten the EOTF. It's not going to be accurate. Most people, when they see an over brightened EOTF, they like it more. So who cares? I would definitely get more brightness if I can. The 2000 peak brightness hack is in Spanish. Oh yeah, I see. It is coming from a YouTube channel. At least I saw a YouTube channel that was in Spanish, and he was talking about this stuff. So maybe it's him. Yeah, I speak Spanish, so I could break it down. But I don't want to make a video about that, because if I don't have an S95B or C myself to do it and see the consequences, I cannot make a video recommending you to do that, because that would be very irresponsible. I cannot recommend something I would not do. I cannot do myself to see it, to try it, because accessing the service menu, you definitely have the potential to break the TV. Ben says people only hate quantum because other YouTubers told them not to. Because other, okay, yeah. Again, I couldn't care less about. I will do whatever I want to do. That's why I do this YouTube channel. So if I want to collaborate with someone and someone else has a problem with that, I don't care. I am more interested in good BFI strobing technology than I have higher hertz, because running higher FPS like 360 is so difficult in non-esports games. Yeah, I totally agree with you. The only thing, asynchronous reprojection, man, that's the key there. Try the demo that I shared. The asynchronous reprojection game is basically a game where you can see how asynchronous reprojection works outside of VR, and it's just amazing. Like going from 60 to 120 using asynchronous reprojection is shockingly good. The input lag is same input lag as 120, and you only get some insignificant artifacts. So to go then from 100, for example, if the base frame rate is 100, you can go up to whatever you want, to 500 with asynchronous reprojection, and then you're getting the quality, you're getting the settings of 100 FPS. See, that's how I think we're gonna get up to 1,000. See, Because when you use asynchronous reprojection, it doesn't matter. You're not pushing real frames. So I think that AI and asynchronous reprojection, that would be the thing. Not sure if Nvidia is gonna be a big fan of that, because basically, imagine this: you couldn't tell the difference if you're going from 100 to 500, or if you're going from 120 or 200 to 500 to, it would look about the same. So you might have a GPU that's a lot more expensive looking about the same as another one that's a lot cheaper. So I don't think Nvidia is gonna like that a lot, because they always want you to spend more money for the higher end GPU. But I think that asynchronous reprojection outside of VR, that's the thing that's gonna make the biggest difference. So yeah, but definitely I'm interested right now. I'm definitely interested in strobing, because with more brightness we can get better motion clarity. So if we get that LG G4 now, 2000 nits on a 10% window, and then LG implements this AutoMotion Pro with a 10% window size, then we're getting fantastic brightness with fantastic, motion clarity. I don't know why they don't do that. It just blows my mind. They don't do that. It's just, they have to, man. So yeah. MSLD says, I recently got a 260 hertz BFI IPS monitor and a 240 hertz OLED KTC G27P6. I am curious how they will perform in direct comparison. So you're saying that the 260 hertz has BFI, but the 240 hertz OLED doesn't have BFI. Well, the LCD is going to destroy that OLED. Motion clarity wise, absolutely. I mean, if you have 260 plus strobing, you're gonna get probably, depends on what the strobing is doing. You're not saying what is the 260 hertz display. But yeah, is that one of those ULMB 2.0 displays, or which is that display? It should be better. The thing is, with LCDs, even with the strobing, even with ULMB 2.0, you don't get the exact same motion clarity in the entire screen. So you get better clarity in the center of the screen, a little bit different at the top than at the bottom. So it is not like the OLED. The OLED is like exactly the same, consistent clarity in the entire screen. What about Optimum Tech for monitor stuff? Yeah, I've watched his videos too. He's very good too. He's a very good YouTuber too. Again, he shows the UFO tests and all of that. I don't remember him talking about persistence either. Yeah, I would like to collaborate with him too. That would be great. Look up AV Passion. Yeah, that's the one. AV Passion. It is the 2000. Yeah, AV Passion. That's the Spanish-speaking YouTube channel that talks about this stuff. I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen him. He's from Spain. I tried linking a BFI test from Sony, Samsung, and LG so you can see who did it the best, but the link gets removed. Samsung last 120 hertz BFI display was even more clear than the C1, surprisingly. Really? But was that WRGB from Samsung? Because Samsung didn't have OLEDs before they started with the QD OLED. They were doing the campaign against it. So if it was an LCD, I can see that being more clear than the C1. But the thing is that the C1, it's the same clarity across the screen. Across the entire screen. There's no difference whatsoever between the picture. The motion clarity at the top, the bottom, and the middle of the screen is the same. no ghosting, no artifacts. So it is perfectly clean. The motion on the LGC1 is clean. It might not be the more clear than other LCD, with backlight strobing, but it's so clean that it's just fantastic. I think you definitely should collaborate with him if you want to, but you should search him up first and learn what type of human being he's first outside of YouTube. But here's the problem. Why would I care? That is the definition of, how do you call this? Not bias. How do you call this? When you are judgmental with someone, I forgot the name of that thing. Discrimination. Okay. So it is a useful ability for humans to be able to, learn from the past, learn patterns, and say, okay, well, this kind of people behave in this way, so then I should prevent this problem or do this in a different way. When I'm interacting with someone, I try to not have an opinion about that person because I don't know that person personally yet. Okay. So if I'm going to judge you because you look a certain way or because other people say something about you, I am discriminating you. See? And I try to not do that because when you are discriminating someone, you might be already wrong. So you're not giving a chance to things to happen. See? I don't know you. So I will just speak with you and try to. Why would I have to investigate you to speak with you? I would speak with you right away and see how it goes. I'm not concerned about that. Me and our technical engineering made our bone async demo in UE5 using a different method, overscan, for upcoming game. Okay, let me see if I understand this. Hybrid says, me and our technical engineer made. What does that mean? Our bone. Is that the name of a game? What is that? Let me search that. I'm still learning English. What is that word? Our bone. Archive. Our bone. Bone. I don't know what that means, man. It's a demo in UE5 using a different method, overscan, for our upcoming game. It'll tell you when it releases, lots of unforeseen issues to overcome. I have no idea what you're talking about, man. Elaborate more if you can. Yeah, so you're not the first one that tells me that is a game developer. I have some people here on the channel that are telling me that they are game developers. So I'll try to not hammer the games. I said already, I'm not gonna be doing more rants anymore. But I appreciate you being here. Yes, I agree with the Samsung BFI was a good or better than the C1 at 60 FPS. I have the S90C right now. It actually has ELMB sync, which does G-Sync at the same time as BF5. That would be fantastic. I would definitely like to try that. So what happens? What happens when the frame rate changes? Does it get more or less flickery? The brightness shouldn't. They should set it up so the brightness doesn't change. But what is the difference? Like what is also the range from which frame rate? Does it have a threshold? Like, okay, if it drops below 60, then it no longer flickers. Wow, that would be wild. I would like to test that. Can you describe what happens on that monitor when the frame rate changes with BFI? That's interesting. If they flicker at the same time, the same rate, would the higher brightness have better motion clarity? And if so, why? Now, if they flicker at the same rate, the motion clarity would be the same. The thing is, if you have one display that's brighter than the other display, then the brighter display could reduce the persistence more and still have the same brightness. Okay? So let's say we have a competition, okay, of flickering, a competition of BFI, basically. And we say, okay, the rule is you need to guarantee 100 nits. If you cannot drop below 100 nits, that's cheating. Okay. So then you're going to set up all the displays to be 100 nits full screen. And then the brighter display could achieve 100 nits while reducing the persistence more. So while having better motion clarity. Okay. So they look equally as bright as each other, but the display that's brighter is flickering more. It's reducing the persistence more. It's reducing the pixel visibility time more because it is brighter. So what happens is that based on the Talbot-Plateau's law, the brightness result is going to be the average brightness in time after you reach a certain threshold. Okay, so let's say you have 50% of the screen, okay, and then you scroll that down, the rest is black, or you have the screen on and off for half of the time, the entire screen, the flashes of the entire screen half of the time. You are going to get at a maximum, if you're not changing, of course, there are some TVs that might change the power and push more brightness if they are doing strobing or any of these techniques, but keeping the same power, pushing the same brightness, you're going to get maximum half the brightness. That's the maximum brightness you're gonna get. So if you reduce that window size, if you're doing scrolling, and then you reduce that to 30%, you're getting 30% of the brightness. So that's how you understand that the brighter the TV gets, the smaller the window size can be to achieve the same level of brightness. That's how it works. Oh, so you're saying that's the Asus TUF VG27AQM1A. Yeah, I think that monitor, that's a ULMB 2.0, I think. That you're saying is ELMB. I mean, the naming is so similar. The naming is so messed up. They are all similar. 27AQM. I think I saw that monitor in Monitors Unbox. That would be great. I would like to test that monitor. I think I'm gonna have to start sending these companies emails to see if someone can send me a monitor. The thing is, I am not a monitor reviewer because I haven't done any monitor reviews. So for these companies to send me, to be confident in, okay, we can send this guy a monitor, he's gonna do a good job on reviewing the monitor, I have to first, show them that I can do a good job. So for that, I have to start buying, buy a monitor, do a review, and do that a lot until I get good at that, and they see me and I get enough views on those reviews. And then they might think, oh, okay, let's send this guy a monitor because he can do a good job. And I'm not willing to start buying monitors to do reviews. That would not be profitable for me at all. And I'm not interested in using those monitors anyway. And I don't like to return them. So it's a challenge. Being obsessed. I don't think Samsung works at 120 BFI though. So that was 60. What is the BFI and what does it do What does it do to the content? Give me an analysis review of it. So BFI, we call it BFI, but and this LGC1 is PWM, pulse width modulation. But whatever the technique is, it can be backlight strobing, rolling scan, flashing the entire screen. Whatever the technique is, to improve the motion clarity, you lower the persistence. The persistence is the frame visibility time. How long can we see the frame? It's that simple. So you just have to hide the frame. Okay? There are different ways to hide the frame. So it is as simple as the sample and hold displays that we have today. You get a frame, that frame stays on screen until the next frame comes. If you have 60 frames per second, the frame is going to stay on screen for 16.6 milliseconds. Okay? Now why? Because you divide 1 divided by 60, multiply by 1000, that's going to give you 16.6 milliseconds. Why do you divide 1 by 60? Because you have one frame in 60 seconds. That's what 60 hertz means. That's the frequency. You're getting one frame. 1 divided by 60. Okay. So that multiplied by 1000, that's 16.6. So now if you get 120 frames and you do 1 divided by 120, okay, multiply by 1000, that's 8.3 milliseconds. So now, if you get 60 frames, but you reduce the frame visibility time in half, imagine that instead of displaying a frame and waiting until the new one comes, you display the frame and somehow you turn it off. Okay? So you're displaying the frame for 8.3 milliseconds, and then you turn the screen off for the rest 8.3 milliseconds. In motion, that's going to look the same as 120 hertz, because 120 hertz sample and hold is going to be 8.3 milliseconds. So in that way, you can make 60 FPS look like 120. And you can reduce that even more. So now instead of reducing it to be half of the time on and half of the time off, you could have it on 25% of the time. And then the rest of the 75% of the time, have it off. So you could flash the entire screen. Boom. 25% of 16.6 milliseconds. You could do that and then turn it off for the other 75%. So that would be 4 milliseconds. You see the frame, and the rest of the time is off. So if you do that, then it's going to look at 60 like 240 FPS. Okay, it's not going to look exactly the same as 240 frames per second, but the motion clarity is going to be the same. Okay, as good as 4 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second. That's 4 milliseconds of persistence, 240 hertz. So that's an idea of how it works. Hybrid says, I believe the Samsung had a better duty cycle, which is why it looked clearer. I got these images from the RT's review of this panel, so it is according to their results, not mine. Yeah, RT's is very good in taking those pictures because they have this camera mounted to a device that is moving at the same speed that the test is moving, so they can take a picture. So that should be a very reliable source. Does BFI increase latency? Yes. I think no, or almost zero. It does increase latency, but it's insignificant because the render latency is a lot bigger. So it's not, in most cases, it's not a big deal, but it does increase the input lag a little bit. He meant you're on async. Oh, you're on asynchronous reprojection demo. Okay. Where are you from? From Cuba. He has done a lot of harassment towards his closest friends and dogs. I don't care. I honestly don't care about any of that drama. Just want you to be careful. Yeah, I don't care. I mean to say your own, not your own. Okay, our own. Okay. But the issues with asynchronous that I have to overcome is when you are actually GPU bound, you stutter. And with our limited RD, we're trying to solve this issue. Oh, very interesting. So you're saying that you're making a project on Unreal Engine with asynchronous reprojection outside of VR, and you're having uh, some technical challenges. But I love that you're doing that, man. That's amazing. That's what all developers should be working on right now. I mean, that's the most important thing, because basically, if you release a game with asynchronous reprojection, you are guaranteeing the best input lag, the best performance, no matter what the FPS is. You could be getting 40 FPS if your PC is not good enough, and then you still get the maximum FPS delivered to your display. It's gonna have more artifacts, but if you want less artifacts, then you get a better GPU, you get more performance. But that's fantastic, man. That's really, really good. I have no idea how it works, but it seems to be visually transparent at 100 FPS plus. Yeah, you're talking about that monitor. It looks very clear. Maybe I can make super slow-mo video on my phone. No, super slow motion videos are unable to show you how good the motion clarity is. The only way to show how good the motion clarity is, I mean, there are more than one way, but you can either open the UFO test, change the speed to, let's say, 480 pixels per second, or even 960, and then follow the UFO test with your camera. Take a video like this, or take a picture. You can either take a picture, but if you're gonna make a YouTube video, then do this. Follow and try to match the speed of the UFO test. So, because in that way you're simulating eye tracking. So that's how you're going to represent what you're seeing in front of you. And it is ELMB sync, not ULMB 2.0. That's awesome. My NVIDIA control panel says I can do 12-bit output color depth with my S95B. Does that actually do anything better than 10 bits? Yeah, if the content is 12 bits, then yes, you get better quality content. So maybe with a special K, with those 12 bits remaster or something like that, it would look better. You need to test it. It's definitely better. No question about that. The thing is, you need content that is 12 bits. Maybe a special K would be the only way, because HDR10 content is 10 bits. That's why it's called HDR10. Dolby Vision could be 12 bits. We don't have Dolby Vision content. Maybe HDR10 Plus could be 12 bits, and we should definitely start seeing HDR10 Plus more often soon. Don't mention. Let me see how far we are on the comments here. Oh, I'm way behind. Okay, so let me try to catch up with the comments, and I'll finish it. I'll finish it in a moment, because we've been going on for 2 hours and a half. IPS and OLED TVs are not intended for TVs or laptops with more than 12 inches screen size. Mobile switch tablet can have OLED or IPS 11 or 12 inches max, so that it will live for several years. IPS and OLED TVs are not intended for TVs or laptops. So you're saying that the panels are supposed to be 12 inches only? That's weird, man. First time I hear that. I don't know what you're referring to. Too bad you don't live in Europe. I could just send it over in that case. That'll be great. I mean, I would definitely be maybe like if a member of the community lives in the US, maybe I would just pay for the shipping back and forth to do like a monitor review or something like that. Maybe that would be that would make sense. Yeah, it's tough because maybe something can happen and the shipping, and then we ruin a monitor for that. How does the C1 improve motion clarity at 120 hertz though? I mean, I know it does, but there's no flickering that I can detect. You don't see the flickering, but the flickering is happening. That's the beauty of it. That's why I've been hammering LG to support 120 BFI, because the flickering is gone completely, but it's there. You cannot see it. You cannot detect it. It is flickering. So my testing, I think what's happening is that the C1 is doing 33% window size. It's scrolling that down and the rest is black. But for some reason, it looks like perfect 38% instead of 33%. So maybe they are hitting some limitations. They cannot go lower than that with WRGB. Maybe. That's my guess. But the thing is, it looks like 312 FPS. It looks like 3.2 milliseconds of persistence, equal to 3 pixels of motion blur when moving at 1000 pixels per second. So it is slightly less clear than a 360 hertz OLED, which is a test that I would love to do. I'm sure I'm right. I mean, 100% sure. I have no doubt in my mind. But I would love to get that 360 hertz QD OLED January next year to test that. The thing is, it just doesn't make any sense for me to buy that monitor because I cannot get 360 FPS on any of the games that I play, even if I buy a 4090. So it just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's 1440p, which is a downgrade from 4K plus a downgrade on the screen size. So yeah, it's just I'm not gonna be able to use it, but it would be great to do that comparison. So yeah, basically on the LG C1, I showed that on a video. You change the UFO test speed to 360 pixels per second, and it looks almost perfect. So the alien eyes are not blurry, but they are not 1 pixel of motion blur. They are not 2 pixels of motion blur either. It's something in between there. So it's not quite 360, but it's very close. Definitely better than 240, that's for sure. What is your recommended gamma slider setting for TVs? Can I do 0 to +4 and 0 to -4 +4 in the dark is the darkest and smoothest fade. And -4 is the brightest with the least fade from dark to bright. I'm not sure what is that +4 -4. Is that your Philips TV? I'm not sure what that means. What is that +4 -4 you're talking about? Recommended gamma slider settings for TV. It depends on the TV settings. I have no idea. I don't know what is that you're referring to. There have been a lot of complaints about the TV static for several years from 2017 to 2023. This is true. VA panel can be max larger 200 inches to last for several years. I mean, they are definitely giving you the performance very slowly to keep you buying TVs every year. I agree with expert from Techniques. I will not have OLED or IPS more than 12 size, but only 11 or 12 size max, so that it will live for several years. I don't understand what is this 12 size you're referring to. Is that 12 inches? I don't know what that is. It is weird. Samsung Game Motion Plus at 60 interpolated to 120 looks different than BFI 60 on Samsung in motion. Huh. It is like comparing two different tech. Like they're supposed to be both 120. That's very interesting. But different how? Does the interpolation look better to you? One thing that can happen is that the interpolation doesn't trigger unless you have enough movement on the screen. So maybe if you open the UFO test, that's not gonna be enough for the motion interpolation algorithm to trigger. And the reason why I say that is because I think I was speaking with Gaming Tech, testing the G2. We were just speaking over the phone. And the G2 with the interpolation was not being triggered with a UFO test. Like a single UFO test on the screen was not triggering the interpolation algorithm. So maybe that's what's happening if you're testing with a UFO. The other thing that could be happening, if you feel like 60 with Game Motion Plus looks better than 60 with BFI on the Samsung, then the other thing that could be happening is that it is interpolating up to 144 instead of 120, and that looks slightly better. Maybe that's what's happening. Tell me which one looks better. What's the difference that you see? Of course, it's gonna look different. It's not the same 120 FPS than 60 BFI. If you have more frames, it's gonna look different. It's gonna look different, but the motion clarity is gonna be the same. Okay, talking about 60 FPS with 50% duty cycle. So basically, you get 8.3 milliseconds of persistence on an OLED. It's gonna look the same. It doesn't matter if it's with BFI or if it's with interpolation. The difference, you might see a difference, but the clarity is gonna be the same. I saw some code on GitHub for software-based BFI. I compiled it and tried it. Kind of janky, but it is an interesting concept that could be all right with some work. It works. There's like an emulator that has that. The problem with software BFI is that some monitors, some LCD monitors, might get burning if you use software BFI. And the explanation is on an article that the Blurbuster chief sent to me. It's on the Blurbusters forums, I believe. It's an article I think he wrote explaining that. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I read the article. It had to do with basically not all LCDs, like some specific LCDs might get burning if you do software BFI, because basically the polarity, it had to do with the polarity. Like if you're turning it off on this polarity and on in the other polarity, then you're burning it in because you're not letting it like balance each other, the voltages or something like that. I don't remember the explanation, but that was basically the chief telling me that it is not like a fantastic idea that we should be doing everywhere, but it could work in some cases. And of course, the other problem is that if you cannot go beyond the refresh rate. You cannot get a clarity that's better than the refresh rate. So basically, if you have a 240 hertz OLED, one of these LG Ultra Gear WRGB OLED, it's 240 hertz. It's gonna give you 4 milliseconds of persistence. If you can get 4 milliseconds of persistence at 60 FPS and lose 4 times the brightness. You can get it at 120 and lose 2 times the brightness, cut the brightness in half. So dividing the brightness by 4 or dividing the brightness by half at 120. But you cannot get better than 4 milliseconds of persistence. But it's definitely worth trying. That's for sure. I would love developers to start doing this kind of stuff. My bad. Won't name any drama related comments. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not interested in any drama, but thank you. Hybrid, does frame generation fix the stutters you get when GPU bound, since it lowers the load on the GPU? Yeah, who knows why he's getting stutters with that? It's some challenges when you're trying to push the technology. But that's great, man, that he's doing that. The super slow motion was supposed to show how ELMB sync works, not how well. Oh yeah, if you do like a super slow motion, you're gonna see something. Yeah, for sure, do it. I mean, that's definitely worth doing. What I meant is that if you record a very, if you record like a 1000 FPS video of the UFO test moving, it's gonna look perfectly clear on the video. The only way to see how blurry it looks is if you follow it with a camera. I once noticed LESS input lag with frame generation on because I could not force reflex in that game for some reason. And input lag is bad when GPU bound. I don't know what is LESS input lag. Less. Okay. Okay. I noticed less input lag with frame generation on. Okay. I made my own frame interpolation mod. Released a short demo on my YouTube channel. I'll check it out. I started it because I thought FSR3 would never release. Happy to have this new experience though. I enjoy learning. I think you're doing a great job, man. Is HDR gaming through 10-bit color depth or just regular 8 bits plus luminosity? It's through 10 bits because with the HDR, I mean, not every single game, but with the HDR analysis tool, when you have 8 bits, the graph doesn't look perfect. It looks like you have horizontal lines, like it is segmented. It looks different when you have 8 bits. It looks different. So I see that I see when it is 10 bits or 8 bits just by looking at the graph. Isham says a special K sCRGB HDR is 16 bits. Well, there you go. I still have to explore more the special K HDR because I am getting clipping, and the only way to reduce the clipping is by reducing the max CLL a lot. Like I have to reduce the max CLL to like 540 or something like that when I am using HGIG on my C1 to get no clipping, and that's not the best result. I still have to figure it out special K, and of course I will share if I figured out better settings or something. Yeah, I will check it out too. There have been many complaints about the TV static for several years from 2017 to 2023. This is true. VA panel can be a maximum. I think I read this before. Am I going back on the comments? No. Have you noticed auto is darker at 120 BFI than high on the C1? Oh yeah. Yeah, but the motion clarity is not better. Yeah, I noticed that sometimes this auto setting. So what that auto setting does is that it changes the flickering. If you are not moving, it looks brighter. If you start moving, it flickers more. That's a good idea, but it's not better. It's not better than even medium. It only works at 100 and 120, and it's not better. Like I've never find a single case, a scenario for OLED Motion Pro Auto on the C1. It's never better. I've tested it a lot, and I know it changes. I can see it with my eyes and also with the camera, with a very high shutter speed, or with a very low shutter speed. But yeah, I just don't find a good case for it. Since UEFI is GPU limited, it is impossible to create a scenario that's not GPU bound for most users, unless we stop using next-gen features and add upscaling. So we have to solve the root problem. Yes. Reflex on plus boost helps, I guess, but doesn't fix your issue. Reflex mimics 97% GPU usage or something like that, I think. I heard that interpolation looks much better when pre-done on a PC and then played on a TV. Pre-done on a PC. Oh yeah, like there are programs to do interpolation that takes a lot of time and space. I haven't tried them. As you were referring to 12 inches. Okay. It might not be good for most LCDs, but it might be a decent way to get BFI back for OLEDs monitors or newer TVs at 120 Hz. Yeah, the thing is, these OLEDs, they are still supporting 60 BFI. So software BFI is not going to be better than that. It's going to be the same. But for TVs that don't have BFI, then yes, absolutely. And also for example, this OLED, 240 Hz OLED, WRGB OLED from LG that don't have BFI at all, software BFI would be the only thing. So yeah, make sure to try to add to the game settings to adjust the gamma to compensate for the brightness loss. Should I go for C1, C2 instead of C3 now when BFI Motion Pro is not on C3? But it's not on the C2 either. Okay. So the C2 and C3 are the same. The same Motion Pro option. If you are interested on that, get the C1, G1, CX, or GX. C2 and C3, G2, G3 don't have 120 BFI. Those lines you mentioned in 8 bits, 10 bits are called banding. Okay. And I always have to smile about Major Pain the Cactus just because it sounds hilarious. Yeah, I don't know why that name. I'm not sure who did that mod. I'm not sure if it was Pumbo or it was not Lilium. I think it was Pumbo. I don't remember. 120 Hz BFI is more darker than CRT monitor, or is it the same as CRT? Well, it depends on which CRT we're talking about. There are some CRTs that are very bright. CRTs are fantastic, man. CRTs can be like 30,000 nits. Okay, 30,000 nits. Just think about that. We have TVs today, they are not even touching that. The thing is, you don't get 30,000 nits of brightness because the CRT is just shooting like a very small section of the screen, and it's scrolling that down, and the rest is black. It's scrolling that, and because of the phosphorus decay, you don't get that much flickering. CRT is a fantastic technology. I mean, it was a crime to discontinue CRTs, man. I would definitely have a CRT as a gaming monitor, 100%. I mean, if they continue with the CRT or this SED, whatever it was gonna be, at this point, we should not be talking about blurriness in motion. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense that a display that's 20 years old had better motion than most of the displays we have today. It's nonsense. But yeah. What do you think of mini LED? Or you can't ever give up in motion clarity of OLEDs? Mini LEDs can have better motion clarity than OLEDs. They just need to have enough hertz or supports a backlight strobing or scrolling or flashing the entire screen or whatever they want to do, and they are brighter. So it is not because of motion clarity, it's because of the black levels. So I think that mini LED is great, especially because of the brightness. And the more dimming zones with the better algorithm you get, there's gonna be a point where mini LEDs are so good when it comes to controlling the dimming zones, the algorithm, and the amount of dimming zones that they have. There's gonna be a point that if they are significantly brighter than OLEDs, it's just gonna be the way to go. I mean, if you can get a mini LED that's 10,000 nits, full screen, with great control of the dimming zones, a lot of them, I mean, OLED is not gonna beat that. And the motion clarity could be also fantastic because you could have a super aggressive scrolling because it's super bright. So yeah, I mean, it's great that they keep improving it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to finish because my battery is at 15%. It was not fully charged when I started the stream, so I don't want the phone to die on me. Let me try to go over the comments quickly. My thoughts is, why can't Samsung combine same motion plus 60 to 120, then add BFI on top? Of course, that's what they should do. They're crazy by not doing that. My monitor was so blurry, I used max overdrive settings that was clear, but it had overshoot after a while. Your eyes surprisingly adapt. Let me try connecting the phone so it doesn't die on me. I like to read all the comments, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that here. Okay. My monitor was so blurry, I used the max overdrive settings that was clear, but had a lot of overshoot. After a while, your eyes surprisingly adapt, so it looked better than the blur. Yeah, I mean, you get some monitors with that different overdrive settings, and some of them give you a lot of overshoot and stuff. That's the problem with LCD sometimes. What do you think is better for BF5 in relation to image brightness? Major Paint the Cactus or the new AutoHDR mod? What about native HDR? The best is Major Paint the Cactus because you can use the Lilium's inverse tone mapping or the advanced AutoHDR shader to tweak the brightness of the midtones. Okay, and I'm still working on global settings for that. I'm working on it. The thing is, when you try to raise the brightness of the midtones, you start clipping the highlights, and I want to get it as bright as possible without losing picture quality. And I've been working on HGIG with BFI and Major Paint the Cactus, and that would probably be the best solution. But I'm still working on it. I will share. Which ones are the most dim, BFI or CRT? It depends, man. It depends. I mean, CRTs can be very bright, surprisingly, for what they are doing. Which is, I'm telling you, like they could have like 30,000 nits in a small window. That's crazy, right? Local dimming on LCDs is typically disabled when backlight strobing is enabled. So I don't know if it would work with mini LEDs. Without some additional work. Oh, that's right, man. Yeah, because you're using that backlight for the strobing, so you get worse contrast then. Yeah. Thank you for the stream. So many questions asked. Love your content. Share your channel in gaming Discord. It's good content. Well, thank you very much. Let's leave it there, man. We're almost 3 hours, and I think I cover all the comments already. Thank you all for being here, and you guys have the rest, a good rest of the day. I'm gonna go take a break and then play some games.